All right, this is an update, an emergency update, in my opinion, of something that occurred here in a little town of Menominee, Wisconsin. And if what this fellow who walked into this Christian Bible bookstore had to say, and he was in uniform, is true, then America is already gone down the tubes. And if what he had to say is correct, then the Christians, the Constitutionalist Bill of Rights, have all been targeted, for sure. This is an amazing thing that occurred. Menominee is a little town. It's got maybe 17,000 people in it, 14 to 17,000. I'm not sure exactly what the population actually is. And then we have Stout University here, and that increases the population considerably during the college year, the university year. But we're a small town in rural Wisconsin, not far from Eau Claire. And to have such a thing happen is, to me, astounding and a terrific warning to everyone that if the American people don't stand up now, lawfully stand up now, and demand that their sheriffs and whatnot protect them from mercenary forces, then I guess it's over. Biblically speaking, we know it's over anyway. We just don't know exactly when it's over, and we don't know how fast or how accelerated the takeover will be. We do have a few clues when they say he comes in as a storm. He comes in almost as a tsunami, and which is probably why Barack Obama and the Marxist, socialist Democrats, Reid and Pelosi, are going as fast as they can. I think they've been told, we read these articles about, on the next election, we're going to throw the bums out. Well, in the first place, number one, they never do throw the bums out. They reelect them. But number two, more importantly, there probably is not going to be another election. There might be. I would hope that there is. But the way things are going, the way they're stirring the pot, the way they're really pushing for revolution in this country, it makes me wonder. All we need now is a false flag of some type, and we go under strict martial law. Anyway, I interviewed the owner of this little Christian Bible bookstore in Menominee, Wisconsin. It's called Rose of Sharon. And just a absolutely fascinating event took place there in this little tiny burg. And if it can happen here, and if what the BlackWater agent mercenary said, it's going to happen everywhere. Anyway, just be on guard for it, because it's probably coming much faster, much more rapidly. We have Josh Stodola. Now, this is very, very interesting, and I think everybody out there is going to get kind of a shock, actually, from what has happened. He runs a Christian Bible bookstore here in Menominee, Wisconsin, called the Rose of Sharon, and it's a Christian Bible bookstore, as we said. And he had a very strange incident occur the other day. Hi, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
You had somebody kind of stop by on your bookstore the other day. Could you explain that a little better? This was a BlackWater mercenary type, I guess.
Definitely.
How did this happen? I mean, did he just walk in?
Yeah, he just walked in. It was probably about 10:30, 10:45 in the morning last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of was browsing around. I've had security people in here before. I've had police officers every once in a while. And I knew that he was in uniform and looked kind of like a police. Me and another guy, Jeff, that was here, couldn't really tell what he was. So I approached him just to see if he needed any help trying to find anything.
Mm-hmm.
We talked for a little bit. The gentleman that was with me, Jeff, started asking if he knew what kind of things were going on in the world, in the country, losing our rights and different things, and he agreed with all that. He said that we were in kind of a mess. We talked for a little bit, and then he turned and he was wearing a jacket, but he was wearing like a police officer's jacket,
Mm-hmm.
Dressed in that almost black navy blue, full suit. And when he turned, though, he had a badge on the side that had the bear paw with the crosshairs.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's Blackwater.
Yeah, and as soon as we saw that, both me and Jeff saw that we questioned him or asked him about that. He definitely said he was Blackwater. He was pretty proud of it.
Uh-huh. What's he doing there?
That was my biggest thing. I don't think... we've done... there was like a group of us that went down to Fort McCoy once with a video camera trying to get some information on the concentration camps, and we had a story with that too. So I don't know.
That might have been part of it.
Yeah, we definitely, and Jeff has done some events at the library here, kind of 911 Truth and different things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely, I guess, on the radar, I would say.
Okay.
And it was interesting because Jeff was actually here, and then the man came in about 15 minutes afterwards.
Oh. Do you suppose they were following him?
They could. He didn't. I mean, he looked around. He was here for probably about 30 to 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Really looking around. I don't know if I really got the feel that he was there to search and to do anything. I almost, even as he ran out kind of fast at about 11:30,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was maybe on break. But being in full uniform like that, what gets me is that he had to have been working or doing something in the area.
Did he say who he was associated actually with in connection to being with Blackwater? Why would they be in Menominee, Wisconsin?
The only thing, when I asked him if there was any operation or if there was anything that they were doing here in Menominee, his only reply was that we are everywhere.
That's kind of ominous.
Yeah.
What did he say to you specifically? Anything that could be taken as kind of a threat or intimidation?
Just the last words that he said is that he definitely will be back. And at the last part of the talk we had, he did talk about some scriptures, and he talked about, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Mm-hmm.
And he blamed me and the Jeff that was here that we were the reason that this nation has fallen because of this division.
Oh, that's interesting.
He agreed that he didn't like the president that we have, but still that kind of that blind, false patriotic thing I think that's going on.
So therefore, if you stand on the Constitution, if you stand on the Bill of Rights, actually, if you stand on Bible prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
then more or less what he's saying is you're a traitor.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of interesting for a guy in a Blackwater uniform come into your bookstore totally unannounced, look around, and more or less threaten you, because when you're called one of the reasons for the United States falling, he's really saying you are a traitor, you are committing treason. Well, that's not what he said, but that's really what he said.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit intimidating. So,
he told us, too, that we should definitely leave the country and that we don't belong here.
Oh, well, this is interesting. So some Blackwater idiot walks in and tells you people, get out of the country. In other words, it's ours, and we're going to take it, and you better just get out.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
Yep. And he had no problem with our rights being taken away.
Oh, he didn't?
He says he doesn't mind if somebody's listening to his phone because, he's not doing anything wrong. And that's not even the issue, but the privacy. There's no... our Constitution totally protects our privacy in that area.
Well, it did. We don't have a Constitution, as you know.
True.
So then he finally leaves, And if he, how old was he?
I would say probably mid-40s.
Mid-40s.
Yep.
So he may be a
kind of shorter gentleman, but he did have a hat of a retired military.
Oh.
And I know, I mean, if you know Blackwater, they do like to hire
yes.
the military and retired.
But he wouldn't tell you exactly what Blackwater was doing in the area, just that they're everywhere.
Yep, just that they're everywhere.
Boy, that's fascinating. Yeah. So you called the sheriff's office.
Yep, I called the sheriff's department, talked to them. The secretary, I don't know, receptionist, the lady who answered the phone, she actually sounded the most concerned. And she gave me directly to her shift commander. And I talked to him, and he said that he had no idea. He said he's heard of Blackwater from reading something before, but he has no recollection, there's no contract, there's nothing with the sheriff's department. He did say that he would keep record of it in case something does, but he said that he wouldn't be surprised if it was the city.
Okay, now you were telling me off air here some things about this new city police chief. Could we get into that more or less, go over what you already said?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it started even a couple times. I've tried to stop a couple of the city police around here, and I've known that they have uniforms that are waiting. And I've talked to probably 3 or 4 of them, and they've all confirmed that they do have black uniforms with white kind of patches or striping with it. A couple of the new guys don't know exactly what they're there for. But there's a woman who comes to our Bible study who has been on the city council. And so, which has helped, we've gotten a lot of information through her. But there was a new police chief probably about a year and a half ago that came to Menominee. He came directly from Madison.
Well, that's a bastion of New World. That's a bastion of New World Order.
Yes.
And Marxism, socialism.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So he took a lower job than he could. It was almost like a self-demotion to come here to be the police chief of Menominee. Now, the city made a rule, too, that within 6 months his family had to move here so that they would know that he would have the community's best interest at heart. Well, it's been over a year now, and still his family is not here. Within the first week or so that he got the position here, he spent the $70,000 allotted budget to buy, I believe it was to buy a van. He wants some SUVs in that. He has tried to get more money. I believe that they've given him at least $60,000 more that he spent for specific SWAT team training and SUVs. He is trying to change the color of the police cars to black and white, and his words is because it brings intimidation.
Well, now, how many police do they have down there? It seems like it's a police state already. All you got to do is hit the city limits, and before you get out, you've witnessed 5 or 6 police cars.
Yeah, in this area, it's interesting because there's also a contract. We have UW Stout. It's a city, again, of about 15,000. And so we have Stout officers, city police, and state troopers, and there's actually a contract that was made that they can actually cross each other's lines.
Okay.
And enforce basically the area. So at any one time, usually at night, there is about 14 to 15 on-duty police officers within the 3 branches that actually have legal right to cross borders and to patrol the area. So for a city of 15,000 people to have 14 on-duty police at one time is pretty high. I know Eau Claire usually has about 12 to 13 on duty.
Yeah, and Eau Claire is far larger.
Yeah, and that's pushing about 70,000.
Why has anybody ever questioned the city and why they have expanded their police department to such a, and now they're going to get SUVs and probably what else? Tanks?
It sounds almost like that. And interesting, too, there's an apartment above us, and the day after he came, the SWAT team raided the upstairs apartment.
Oh?
And when we saw that, they were outside, and there was probably at least 10 cars. There was a sheriff. There was a van in which the SWAT team came out of, full shields and everything. And the scariest thing is when I saw the faces of them getting out, they were right in front of our kitchen window. They all had the biggest smile on their faces when they were going into this house.
Well, see, I think they're stupid enough not to know what their house is next.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, these guys are trained evidently to be non-thinking, and don't realize that what they do to others eventually comes around to them. Did they arrest somebody up there? Do you know?
Yeah, they ended up taking 2 guys.
And
one of the guys, I think, is still in there. The other guy got out the day after on a 1,500 signature bond.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't found out that much. Usually he comes down for coffee here and there. And
maybe drug-related, maybe, or something?
I believe so.
But do they have that much of a problem with stout kids and whatnot to warrant such
don't think so, really, from what I've seen. I mean, it's a drinking town, definitely. They have a problem with alcohol with the college, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's not, for the amount that's going on, even the SWAT team regularly goes to California to do training.
Yes.
So this, out of a little 15,000 population city, it's interesting.
What more than interesting with the remark from the BlackWater guy that we're everywhere, and yet the sheriff's department pleads, we don't know.
Yeah.
Basically. So, but they did think possibly that could the city have signed a contract with BlackWater? If they did, that'd be a matter of public record.
There should be something with that, and I haven't known personally if I go in and just talk to the city police or really how to go around or go about that one.
I think what you would do is get hold of the lady that comes to your Bible studies and ask her if she can get the records, because that's a matter of a contract with BlackWater would be a matter of public record.
Mm-hmm.
And unless this is being done on the sly. And this is very interesting because now if he comes back, one question you might want to ask is by what authority are you operating under? I mean, are you operating under the state attorney general? Are you operating under the Menominee Police Department? Are you operating under the sheriff's department? What is your authority? I mean, if they're wearing a uniform that looks like a police uniform that most people would think he was a cop, usually is totally illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Very fascinating. So what was your impression then when he left?
It took a little bit for the adrenaline to kind of come down. I mean, I don't doubt that there's been, undercover people that have come in, or, I also believe, being with the Christian bookstore, that I have a responsibility to put out some of this truth.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's happening. So we have a lot of DVDs, a lot of free information that we try to hand out.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we did go down to Fort McCoy, so we've had weird little run-ins, I think, with individuals, and I wouldn't doubt if somebody in plainclothes has come in at some point.
Well, what kind of DVDs, for example, do you have?
Well, we have a lot of Alex Jones DVDs of, the police state,
okay,
Obama Deception, some Fabled Enemies by Jason Burmis, Freedom to Fascism with Aaron Russo.
Okay. Interesting. So they know that, obviously. Now, when you went down to Fort McCoy, though, you were stopped, but we did, Keith Arndt did an interview with you, which we put on I think it was on the Global Report. Mm-hmm. And our people are very interested because our freedoms are just being taken out one by one.
They are.
And this is kind of verified then by this BlackWater guy. Yeah. The thing that bothers me more than anything about it is you're the reason that the United States is falling. In other words, any dissent, any questioning is treason.
Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating. Well, I'll try and do a little digging on my own here, too. You might, I don't know if you know Alex Jones, but you might want to try and get a hold of him by email or something.
Okay. Yeah.
That'd be a good idea, because to have something like this happen and to have a mercenary come in there and say what he said, this displays an attitude that the American people really got to know about. I've often thought that probably they're going to use mercenaries for people to round them up. And my only hope is that they, I guess everybody's going to have to make up their mind whether they fight back or what they do. And I guess the Holy Ghost is going to have to be the one that decides that for them, if they'll allow that. But there's no question we are going down, but this is extremely fascinating that out of the blue comes this guy. Did you see what kind of an automobile he was driving?
He was driving a van, and I know that there was like kind of a thrown-together stencil, like each individual letter, so it wasn't a full stencil like sticker on there, but we couldn't get it. He really did speed off.
Would it, let me see, did it look like anything that maybe happened out there in Hardin, Montana?
Yeah, no, it didn't look anything like that.
Okay, so he wasn't pretending to be the Menominee police or anything.
No.
He's probably smarter than that.
And that's where I don't know if maybe he was, was he actually coming in to look, or was he just on a break or something like that? I don't know.
No, he was in there to see what you guys are up to and what you got.
Yeah.
He's trying to intimidate you. You don't make remarks like he made and then walk out without any further comment. Being in uniform, he's telling you, you are going to have to be shut down, and if you're not smart enough to leave, we'll shut you down. That's the way they operate.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's funny and it's not. When did he say he was coming back?
He didn't say.
Uh-huh. Now, you said the lady at the sheriff's department seemed a little concerned.
Yeah, I talked to her for a little, I don't know, probably 10 seconds. I told her I didn't know really who, what department or where to call, and just kind of told her what happened real quick. And and it was a instant. She's like, I'm going to put you right to the I think it was the shift commander, I think she said.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be serious, and of course the sheriff, is your last defense in the county. Now, I don't know, they must have an agreement with the city as well, city of Menominee, because I know the sheriff's department, I believe, is for the county, but it oversees or can oversee any townships and whatnot that are in the county.
Yeah.
Well, this is very fascinating, and I thank you for your time. And if anything else happens, let us know.
Definitely will.
And if you need information or you want to see some of our stuff, have you got a pen?
Yeah. Just get some paper here. All right.
Visit www.thelightgate.com.
Okay.
We got videos up there. We have all kinds of material information. We've been in the video documentary business for, almost 25 years now.
Okay.
And we put out Iron Mountain Blueprint for Tyranny, all those kind of police state things that we did early on. And actually what's happening now is not news to us, really, because we knew it was coming 20 years ago. I mean, this stuff has been... They're very intelligent. These guys have laid down their plans for years, and they're just working the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got any interest in your Bible study down there?
Oh, we've grown quite a bit. We started going through the book of Revelation. That took, I believe, about 9, almost 10 months that we went through that. We're going through the book of Daniel now.
Very interesting book.
Oh, very. And it's been amazing, even with the study, like how information just comes and almost like at the exact point, where we're reading in Scripture, all of a sudden I have up-to-date news that is like fulfilling these.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the Lord doing it for you.
Definitely.
And that will bring in, how's your, I hate to ask this, but I should, how the church is accepting what you're doing?
Well, that has not been very well. When I first got here, I actually connected with UW Stout with the Campus Crusade also.
Yes.
And then a movement started happening. A lot of the leaders began questioning what they were doing. Because Campus Crusade, I mean, love the ministry that they've done, but they have really gone more into an entertainment phase.
Yeah.
And as they did start questioning these, the regional guys came down, spoke to me, went around to different churches in the area trying to find out what I was doing, basically telling them, too, that I was stirring up things and I was a problem case.
Oh, yes.
There is one church that has specifically told his people not to come here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thrown out of the several churches. We're not welcome in any of them now. If you're telling the truth, you won't be welcome.
No, not at all. we tried a couple, and one even, you probably had the information, they basically prayed in the name of Allah.
Oh, yes.
And it's just, and the one church that told people not to, I know I sat in a couple of their services, and even at the end spoke, and if you see it any different, then you're an idiot.
Oh.
And so even how he pushes, I mean, I don't think there's any Bible teacher puts that on the end of the message. Puts the people, like a fear in people, almost a question. That even if they would to question, they would feel like they were an idiot.
Well, that's what they don't want. They don't want you to question. Yeah. And if you do question, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. We get calls from all over the United States from people who take like our material in and they'll ask questions. And they're basically told, look, if you don't like what we're teaching, then you better find another place. They really don't want it. Well, that's interesting. That confirms the apostasy is at full bloom.
Oh, it is very much.
So, do the people that they're telling not to have anything to do with you, do they question that?
I haven't seen much. There's still one or two that frequent every once in a while. I guess that are still staying. I did have a meeting with that pastor and his entire staff.
Yeah.
And not even with these issues. We also do more than just a bookstore. We have we've taken in at least 12, 13 people in the last year that have just been either in between jobs, passing by, or just in need. And I know last year there was 3 individuals, and it was at least a couple days where with wind chill it was between 10 and 30 below.
Right.
And these 3 people came in within 3 days, and they all went to 3 different churches in the area just to get a night's sleep, a place to stay.
And they wouldn't be allowed in, right?
And nothing. What they did show me is that the churches gave them a pamphlet on when their services and study times are.
It's okay, go ahead and sleep out when it's 60 below, but here's a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the love of Christ. Well, I can see why you're not liked, because the love of Christ upsets these people, because they don't have it. That's basically where it's at. And it's going to get worse. You are an enemy of the modern theological, how do we say, lukewarm Laodicean church. You're an enemy.
Yeah.
because you're telling the truth. Well, thanks a lot, Josh. We sure appreciate it. I'm going to make sure that everybody hears this, and I don't know if you want to or whether you would be inclined that way, but you might want to get a hold of Alex Jones, because this story, I think, needs to be told because of what this guy said. Not good news. Not good news at all, because he's probably telling the truth that they are everywhere. The only thing we need to know is, well, if they are everywhere, by whose authority? Are they working for Homeland Security? Mm-hmm. He didn't say anything about who he worked for at all.
He hasn't at all.
Wow.
Well, even, on the internet we can find out that since, even Obama, his presidency, that their contracts have increased. And we also know that with Homeland Security that they have, even with their new building, I think down in South Carolina that they're making, changing their name from BlackWater to Z, the police department,
right,
or force.
Have you heard any more about this Hardin thing at all?
I have not really. I did hear that there's a few city council meetings that have been taking place, finding out. They do have some video of them just kind of talking to people on the street, and amazingly, there's a lot of people that say they like to see it. They feel safer.
Yeah, they're going to feel safer, all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. They are not able anymore to put two and two together. They cannot, for some reason, connect the dots, and they don't see any danger. It's like Spock's comment, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, or the few. And, of course, that's right out of Karl Marx. And the people are not able to understand that when you allow a police state to develop, you may be safe from everyone except the police. That's the problem. That's the problem. Well, again, I thank you for your time, and keep us posted on this.
Definitely will.
Particularly if he comes back in. Have you got a little video camera or anything you could...
I am setting something up. I tried with my camera, kind of as my arms were underneath, but none of the pictures really showed up.
Okay.
And I might even just ask him if I can take a picture or something.
Yeah. Did you see by any chance that picture of the Chicago cops forcing that guy down on his knees?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there goes Homeland Security right there. Okay, Josh, well, thanks a lot. I'll stop by and visit you guys. I haven't been down there. I've driven by it from... No, when did you take this over?
We took this over July of last year.
And how is it? How are you doing?
We're getting by.
Yeah.
We're just barely... We're coming to make our payments each month so far. Mm-hmm. And I like that. There's a lot of prosperity talk out there with the church that I'm not necessarily for either.
Mm-hmm.
But when they just get paid, when you just have enough, when at the end of the month you still have to really lean and depend on him, and he does come through with that just enough,
yep,
it makes me feel like I am in the right place.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We've been doing that for years. He usually comes through right at the last second, too.
Yeah. Yes.
Make sure. Well, he wants you to lean on him. That's the whole thing, I think.
There's no other way.
And I think we are coming to the point where the dollar's going to collapse. We're going to leave that. And tell you what, though, folks, this is a whole lot more serious, I think, than most people would realize. When you have a Blackwater mercenary, I don't care if he's a rogue or who he is, he comes into a Christian Bible bookstore against people who have done nothing and they have obeyed the law in every degree, and tells them that they are the reason for the fall of the United States, that they really need to leave the country, etc., etc., then we have a problem. We have a major problem. And the true colors of Blackwater are showing. Even if this guy is just a rogue, unfortunately, they hire a lot of ex-military. You have to understand one thing about military. They're trained to kill. They aren't trained like, well, our police departments now, as Larry Taylor has said many, many times, it's us or them at this point rather than protect and serve, and they are being militarized. And the military doesn't ask questions. They just shoot you. And to have mercenaries of this nature coming in to a small town of 15,000 people and make threats. And that's what these are. These are threats. When you're told to get out of the country, that's a threat. When you're told that you're the reason for the falling of this nation, when you cannot dissent because that makes you a traitor. That makes you guilty of treason. Many, many years ago, in fact, probably now 20 years ago, I got a nasty, nasty letter from a high-ranking officer in I believe he was in the U.S. Army, accused me of treason because we had published Babylon is Rising, the book Babylon is Rising. We couldn't even get that book in Christian Bible bookstores because they said it was blasphemous because we called America Babylon. This shows the short-sighted, narrow-minded, bigoted, so-called Christian attitude that we have today. And you got to remember something. When God decides to punish a nation, he punishes his own people first. And then he uses a mop, a big one, to punish the people that punished his people. We are going to go down. I don't know exactly. I can't tell you exactly how that's going to happen. We don't know yet, but it's going to happen fairly rapidly. We are definitely in, how do we say, the sort of end days. And it's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be good. And I certainly hope and pray that all of you out there have at least prepared as best as you can. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do it. There are many, many ways you can prepare yourselves and do it quietly, do it silently, and be ready. And the Lord will do the rest. And if you're not too serious about the Lord, I cannot advise you strongly enough that you better get real serious, real quick, because time is running out. It really is. Anyway, I hope to have an update with Larry Taylor. We've set up an interview with him. That would be on Friday. This is Thursday evening. This will be going up. So hopefully I can get that one up Friday. That would be update number 93. This one is update number 92. By all means, feel free to take these updates, download them, put them on CDs, hand them out, do whatever, get the word out. And this particular interview, to me, this is a huge story, not because we did it, simply because of a Blackwater mercenary coming into I can hardly believe that this is going on, and yet it is. So anyway, thanks for listening, and feel free to download this and pass out the links to it. Put it out there. We need to get this out there. It needs to go to Quail. It needs to go to Standeo. It needs to go everywhere that you can think of. Put a link to it with a note. It's only by this method, by you folks out there that listen to these things, that can post these everywhere. Make sure Alex Jones does hear about this. I'm not sure if Josh wants to get that much involved. He doesn't really have to, but the story itself is really something else. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again.